Labubu is a name that has suddenly appeared in countless conversations both online and offline. People are wondering how a tiny doll with such strange features could stir such a massive reaction from the public. At first glance, Labubu appears to be just another collectible figure meant to be admired for its artistic style. However, once people start digging deeper, the mystery starts to unfold in unsettling ways. Many who come into contact with Labubu claim to feel unusual sensations in its presence. Some say the doll's eyes follow them around, even though it's obviously inanimate. There are stories of people feeling drained or mentally disturbed after spending time with the figure. Others have experienced nightmares or sleep disturbances after merely having it in their rooms. The design itself raises questions because it doesn't resemble typical playful or comforting toys. Instead, it seems designed to provoke thought, discomfort, or even fear. From its sharp teeth to its unsettling grin, Labubu gives off more than just artistic vibes. Children reportedly cry when they see it, while adults are left with feelings they can't quite explain. Social media became a major fuel source for its popularity, rapidly spreading images and videos across platforms. Users began sharing stories, theories, and even warnings about what Labubu might really represent. Some believe it's not just a doll but a vessel for dark energy or hidden meanings. Others argue that this is just another example of mass hysteria amplified by algorithms and influencers. Despite these warnings, Labubu continues to sell out in stores and online marketplaces. Collectors claim that the oddity is what draws them in, the fact that it's so different from mainstream toys. Still, questions persist about why something so eerie would be marketed so aggressively. In many cultures, dolls are believed to carry spiritual energy or be used in rituals. This isn't the first time a toy has stirred this kind of reaction, but Labubu feels different. Its appeal seems to transcend normal consumer behavior. It's not just bought, it's discussed, analyzed, feared, and even revered. Some suggest it was designed with psychological triggers in mind, intended to evoke a strong emotional reaction. Others think it was an accident that spiraled into a phenomenon thanks to viral content. But the fact remains, Labubu has left a deep impression wherever it appears. Conspiracy theories have emerged linking Labubu to darker intentions. Some say it's a modern tool for spiritual desensitization. Others think it represents an emerging cultural acceptance of demonic imagery. Whether those ideas are true or not, they reflect public unease. Labubu is not neutral, it's polarizing and impossible to ignore. Religious groups have issued warnings about allowing it into the home. They argue that it opens a doorway to unclean energy or spiritual influence. There are reports of priests being called to bless houses after people acquired the doll. These spiritual fears aren't limited to one faith, they cross multiple belief systems. Even people who don't follow a religion have admitted to feeling weird energy around it. That says something about how deeply this little figure affects the human psyche. The aesthetics of Labubu draw attention because they are carefully crafted to appear both cute and disturbing. It exists in a visual gray zone that tricks the mind into feeling both attraction and repulsion. That contradiction is what keeps people coming back, trying to understand what they're feeling. Psychologists have commented that Labubu triggers cognitive dissonance in viewers. That confusion creates emotional tension, making the experience memorable. The colors, shapes, and expressions all seem deliberately chosen to unsettle without being overtly horrifying. This is what separates Labubu from typical horror-themed figures. It doesn't rely on blood or gore, it relies on emotional misalignment. People don't know whether to call it cute or creepy, and that's exactly the point. It floats in the middle of comfort and discomfort. Artists might call it genius, while others call it disturbing or even dangerous. As Labubu spreads, so does debate over its implications. Influencers have played a huge role in popularizing it. They unbox Labubu with dramatic music, whisper in eerie tones, and add mystique to their content. Millions of viewers watch and engage, further feeding the phenomenon. Whether they mean to or not, influencers are pushing Labubu into the cultural mainstream. Some are even turning it into a brand symbol or spiritual totem. They speak about Labubu as if it's alive or holds power. This anthropomorphism contributes to the eerie aura surrounding the doll. The doll becomes more than plastic, it becomes a character in our lives. It infiltrates dreams, discussions, and digital spaces. That kind of presence creates a long-term impact far beyond the original product. Why would influencers want to do this? The simplest answer is engagement. Labubu is mysterious and mystery drives clicks. Every time someone reacts emotionally, the algorithm rewards the content. Controversy brings visibility, and visibility brings income. But some believe it's not just about money, it's about normalizing darker ideas. By presenting Labubu in a glamorous or humorous light, the underlying eeriness is downplayed. This tricks younger audiences into accepting the unsettling as something fashionable. It blurs the line between play and something more sinister. Labubu isn't a one-time trend, it's evolving into a movement. Art collectors, spiritualists, and horror fans all have reasons to follow it. There's even a sense of tribalism forming around ownership. People feel proud to display it in their homes or content. But few ask what it truly means to have such a figure in their daily environment. Cultural experts have raised concerns about its influence on young minds. Children are especially vulnerable to symbols and suggestions. When they bond with something like Labubu, it may affect their emotional development. Subtle exposure to eerie aesthetics can shape perceptions of safety and fear. It creates an emotional baseline that may normalize discomfort. That normalization could desensitize them to future exposure to real darkness. The promotion of Labubu raises deeper questions about societal shifts. Why are people attracted to things that feel wrong? Are we becoming numb to spiritual and emotional danger? Is this part of a larger trend where boundaries between good and bad aesthetics blur? The rise of Labubu could be a symptom of that cultural shift. It shows that people are now drawn to things they once would have rejected outright. That shift in taste is being guided by digital influence and viral trends. Social media has turned human psychology into a playground for marketing. What once frightened us now fascinates us because fear equals attention. Attention is currency in the digital age, and Labubu is rich with it. The more mysterious it is, the more people want to explore. And the more people explore, the deeper the myth grows. The cycle continues endlessly unless interrupted by critical thought. But critical thought isn't rewarded by platforms, engagement is. So people keep reacting, sharing, and multiplying the influence. That creates a feedback loop that pushes Labubu into even greater cultural relevance. Some wonder how long this trend can last. Will people eventually lose interest, or will it evolve into something more? Could Labubu become a permanent part of pop culture like Hello Kitty or Mickey Mouse? Or will it remain a relic of a strange time in human behavior? The answer lies in how we respond to its presence. Every click, comment, and video adds fuel to the fire. We must ask ourselves, do we really understand what we're engaging with? Or are we blindly following the crowd, intoxicated by mystery and aesthetic? There's power in symbolism, even when we don't acknowledge it. And Labubu is loaded with symbolic weight we don't fully grasp yet. Whether it's art, energy, or manipulation, it has influence. And influence is never neutral. It always leads us somewhere, whether we're aware of the destination or not. The fascination with Labubu continues to spread across the globe. People from different countries are interpreting its presence in unique ways. In some regions, Labubu is seen as a symbol of rebellion against traditional cuteness. It stands in contrast to soft, harmless-looking toys that once filled toy stores. Instead of innocence, it carries undertones of discomfort and ambiguity. Collectors often speak about how they feel proud owning something so controversial. That pride stems from the idea that they're part of something misunderstood or unique. But with this pride comes a deeper sense of ownership over its meaning. The meaning of Labubu is being shaped not just by artists but by fans. Each person brings their own interpretations, creating a wide range of symbolic ideas. Some people believe Labubu represents personal trauma or psychological complexity. Others think it reflects the chaos of modern life in a symbolic way. Many young fans say Labubu reminds them of their inner struggles. They find comfort in its strange design because it reflects how they feel inside. In that way, Labubu becomes a mirror for emotional expression. It allows people to talk about fear, sadness, and anxiety through art. This form of expression can be cathartic but also dangerously seductive. When darkness is dressed in charm, it becomes harder to resist. And when discomfort is normalized, sensitivity begins to fade. That's what critics worry about, that Labubu numbs people emotionally over time. The design of Labubu is no accident. Its features are carefully chosen to create emotional confusion. The combination of sharp teeth and wide eyes suggests both playfulness and danger. That contradiction keeps the brain active, always trying to understand it. This overstimulation can lead to mental fatigue, especially in younger viewers. Repeated exposure can slowly shift a person's comfort zone without them realizing it. This is one reason psychologists are now studying Labubu's effects. They want to know how long-term exposure to such imagery influences the brain. Early signs suggest it can alter emotional perception subtly but surely. Children exposed to Labubu-like imagery tend to be more anxious or detached. They struggle to separate fantasy from reality, especially in emotional terms. When toys feel alive or threatening, a child's imagination is pushed into overdrive. The imagination becomes a place of unease instead of play. That shift can affect sleep, learning, and emotional regulation. Parents are starting to ask whether Labubu is safe to have in their homes. Some have taken the dolls away after noticing behavior changes in their kids. But others defend Labubu, saying it's just art and nothing more. That divide has created online debates and even hostility between users. Some label critics as overreactive or conservative. Others warn that such dismissiveness ignores deeper psychological risks. Labubu is more than a toy, it's a cultural mirror. It reflects who we are and what we're becoming. Its popularity exposes our current emotional appetite as a society. We are drawn to what unsettles us because we no longer trust peace. In a chaotic world, we look for chaos in art and objects. Labubu fits perfectly into that pattern. It embodies the contradiction of modern life, cute yet terrifying. It also taps into the current obsession with horror and mystery. People no longer want clear-cut heroes or villains. They want flawed, broken, ambiguous characters. Labubu is exactly that, flawed and ambiguous. It does not offer answers but questions. And people are attracted to questions more than they admit. Mystery sells because it activates curiosity. Once curiosity is activated, the consumer is locked in. That is why influencers continue promoting Labubu. It's not just about selling a product, it's about creating a culture. Each unboxing video is a ritual in itself. Dramatic lighting, suspenseful music, and whispered voices turn the doll into an icon. Viewers are pulled into an emotional journey each time. Even people who don't like Labubu end up watching these videos. Negativity drives engagement just as much as positivity. That creates a cycle where every reaction fuels Labubu's fame. Even fear becomes part of the marketing. That's why companies don't try to make Labubu less creepy. They embrace its weirdness because that weirdness equals visibility. The more disturbing it is, the more people share it. In a world of constant content, standing out is everything. Labubu stands out not because it is beautiful but because it is strange. Strangeness equals attention, and attention equals influence. Brands are beginning to take notice. They're using Labubu to reach younger audiences who crave something different. That's why we see Labubu-themed products beyond toys, clothing, accessories, even phone cases. It has become a visual code that signals belonging to a subculture. Wearing Labubu is like announcing, "I see the world differently." It's not just a doll, it's a statement. And that statement is growing louder each day. Some influencers claim Labubu changed their lives. They say it helped them face their fears or explore their inner selves. That kind of language transforms the doll from object to symbol. It becomes something spiritual in their eyes. They talk to it, pray with it, or use it in meditation. That spiritualization is not always harmless. It can blur the line between reflection and obsession. People may begin to attribute power where there is none. Or worse, they may invite forces they don't understand. Religious leaders have spoken about this. They warn that giving symbolic power to objects opens spiritual doors. Those doors may not be easily closed again. That's why many churches and temples discourage bringing Labubu inside. They say it disturbs the spiritual atmosphere. Even if one doesn't believe in spirits, the emotional influence is undeniable. People feel anxious, unsettled, or even physically ill after seeing it too much. That's not a normal reaction to a toy. It shows that Labubu is triggering something deeper. Perhaps it taps into the collective unconscious, where symbols hold great power. Carl Jung wrote about archetypes, universal symbols that affect us all. Labubu may represent the trickster or shadow archetype. These archetypes expose the hidden parts of ourselves. They are both dangerous and necessary. By facing them we grow, but only if we do so consciously. Unconscious interaction with shadow symbols can lead to confusion or harm. That's why understanding Labubu is essential. It's not just about avoiding it, it's about knowing what it means to you. If it brings healing, use it mindfully. If it brings fear, ask why. Fear is not always bad, it can be a signal for deeper truths. But ignoring that fear or dressing it as fun can lead to trouble. Labubu is not evil, but it is complex. And complexity requires responsibility. We must approach it like we would any powerful symbol, with care. Whether you love or hate Labubu, your reaction matters. It tells you something about yourself. And what it reveals may be more important than the doll itself. In that way, Labubu becomes a tool for self-discovery. But it can also become a trap. Obsession, addiction, and emotional confusion can follow. especially when influencers present it as harmless or trendy. They may not realize the deeper layers they are activating. Or maybe they do, and use that knowledge for clicks. Either way, the impact remains. Each share, each view, each purchase strengthens the myth. The myth grows until it overshadows the original object. Labubu becomes more idea than thing. And ideas are harder to challenge than toys. Ideas live in minds, hearts, and cultures. They influence how we feel, think, and behave. That's why we must be careful what ideas we let in. Labubu may be art, but it's also a doorway. A doorway into mystery, emotion, and even danger. Not because it is cursed, but because it is powerful. And power in the wrong hands can cause harm. We must ask, are we being mindful or are we being manipulated? Are we choosing Labubu or is it choosing us? Are we aware of its effects or are we in denial? These are the questions that matter most now. Because Labubu isn't going away. It's becoming a symbol of our time. A time when confusion is marketed and fear is sold as fun. A time when culture feeds on contradiction. A time when even toys have psychological weight. We are the ones giving Labubu that weight. So we must decide how to carry it.